Okay, so I'm at the gas station yesterday, right? Pumping gas. $47, $47 for half a tank, half. And I'm watching those numbers spin like a slot machine that only pays out in bankruptcy. And this guy next to me, nice guy, MAGA hat, truck bigger than my future, probably named Dale or Randy, he looks at the pump and goes, "You know what we need? We need to go back to the gold standard, make the dollar real again." And I'm standing there, nozzle in my hand, gas fumes making me dizzy, and I think to myself, did I just have a stroke? Did the fumes finally get to me? Or did this man just suggest we time travel to 1929 and personally recreate the economic conditions that led to the Great Depression? Because let me tell you something, I heard the pitch. I heard it, and I've been hearing it a lot lately. Put our money back on gold. Tie every dollar to actual gold sitting in a vault somewhere. It'll have real value. The government can't just print money anymore. It'll stop inflation. And it sounds amazing. It sounds powerful. It sounds like the kind of thing a bald eagle would screech while carrying an American flag, a Bible, and a gun all at the same time. It sounds like freedom. But then, I made the mistake of doing something dangerous. I did the math. I cracked open a history book. I talked to my accountant, who laughed so hard he cried, and then sent me his therapy bill. And the math said, "Bill, sit down. We need to talk, and you're not going to like this." So buckle up, folks. Today we're going to talk about why the gold standard, this beautiful, shiny, nostalgic fantasy, is the economic equivalent of saying, "You know what this house needs? Asbestos. Let's bring back asbestos." And lead paint. And those lawn darts that impaled children. All right, let's start with what the gold standard people will tell you, because I want to be fair. I want to give them their moment, their time to shine, like gold. See what I did there? Here's the pitch. "Bill, right now, the government just prints money whenever they want. They fire up the money printer, brrr, and out comes cash. Trillions of dollars. Just appearing out of nowhere like magic. But it's not magic, it's fraud, it's fake. It's monopoly money dressed up in fancy paper. But if we tie every dollar to gold, real gold you can touch, hold, bite like they do in movies, then the government can't just print money out of thin air. They can only print as much as they have gold. Your money will be safe. It'll be backed by something real, something with intrinsic value." And I'm listening to this and I'm nodding along and I'm thinking, you know what? That actually makes sense. That actually sounds responsible, like putting a speed limit on the money printer. Like telling the Federal Reserve, "Hey, you can't just go crazy every time there's a problem. You gotta behave. You gotta show some restraint." It's like telling your friend who keeps eating entire pizzas by himself, "Okay, from now on, you can only eat as many slices as you have plates, and we're only giving you 2 plates. It's portion control for the economy." But then, I remembered something important, something they don't mention in the YouTube videos, and the conspiracy podcasts and the gold coin commercials at 3 a.m. I remembered that we tried this. We lived this life. We did the gold standard thing. From 1879 to 1933, America was on the gold standard, full commitment, all in. Every dollar backed by gold sitting in Fort Knox and other vaults. And you know what we got? You know what 54 years of sound money and real value gave us? The Great Depression. Not a depression, not economic troubles, not a bit of a rough patch. The Depression. The one with the capital letters, the one they named. The one where people sold apples on street corners. Because that was the job market. The one where families lived in shacks made of cardboard and tin. The one where farmers burned corn for fuel because they couldn't sell it because nobody had any money. Here's the thing about gold. Gold is pretty. Gold is shiny. Gold makes you feel like a dragon sitting on a hoard, or a pirate who just ransacked a Spanish galleon. Gold is emotionally satisfying. But gold is also finite. There's only so much of it. We've dug up most of what's accessible. The easy gold is gone, and every year we find less new gold. Maybe 1 or 2% more gets added to the global supply if we're lucky, and the mining companies don't collapse first. Meanwhile, the economy grows by 2, 3, sometimes 4% a year. More people, more businesses, more goods and services being produced, more stuff. So you've got an economy that's growing, tied to a money supply that's barely growing. And when you do that, when you tie your entire economy to something finite, you create a problem that economists have a fancy name for. The fancy name is "we're screwed." The technical name is deflationary spiral. Let me explain it like this, because this is where it gets important. Imagine you're at a party. There are 100 people at this party, and there are 10 pizzas. That's your economy. The pizzas are goods and services. The people are consumers. Now, the party's going great. Word gets out. 50 more people show up, then 50 more. Now you've got 200 people at the party, but you still only have 10 pizzas. You can't order more pizzas because, and this is the gold standard rule. You can only have as many pizzas as you have gold, and you've only got enough gold for 10 pizzas. What happens? The pizza becomes more valuable. Each slice is worth more because there's not enough to go around. If one slice cost $5 before, now it costs $10, then $15, then $20. That's deflation. Prices going up in terms of pizza, down in terms of dollars. And it sounds great if you're holding the pizza. If you got pizza saved in your fridge, congratulations, you just got richer. Your pizza is worth more. But if you're the guy who is about to buy pizza, if you're the guy who needs to eat, you're starving and angry and possibly starting a revolution. And if you're the pizza maker, the restaurant, you're going bankrupt because nobody can afford your pizza anymore. And you've got a loan to pay off that's becoming more expensive every day in real terms. That's what the gold standard does to an economy. So I tried to imagine my life on the gold standard, just for fun, just as a thought experiment, just to see what my daily existence would look like if we actually did this insane thing. And let me tell you, it got dark fast, like questioning my will to live dark, like understanding why people jumped out of windows in 1929 dark. First of all, my paycheck. Let's say I make $50,000 a year. That's my number. I'm not rich. I'm not poor. I'm aggressively medium. I'm the economic equivalent of beige. I'm the human embodiment of a Honda Civic. But on the gold standard, the government can't print new money to match economic growth. So as the economy grows and more people need dollars to conduct business, each dollar becomes more valuable. Deflation. Which means my $50,000 today would be worth more tomorrow. You'd think that's good. You'd think I'd be celebrating. Hey, Bill, your money's worth more. Congratulations. You're richer just by existing. Except, my boss knows this too. My boss is not stupid. My boss has an MBA and a calculator, and a very strong desire to cut costs. So when it's time for my annual review, when I walk into his office expecting maybe a 3% raise, because I worked hard this year, I didn't call in sick even when I had the flu, I stayed late. I came in early. I answered emails at midnight. He looks at me with this smile, this knowing evil smile, and he goes, "Bill, great job this year. Really tremendous work. We appreciate you. You're valuable to this company." But there's always a but. But actually, your salary is going down to $45,000 next year because deflation, Bill. Your dollars are worth more now. Each dollar has more purchasing power. So technically, you're making the same amount. Actually, you're making more. You should be thanking me. And I'm sitting there, my eye twitching, my hands gripping the armrests, and I'm thinking, I'm sorry, did you just give me a raise by cutting my paycheck? Did you just explain to me that UP is down? And wars, peace, and losing money is actually making money? But he's right. That's the horror of it. In a deflationary economy, wages go down because each dollar is worth more. Your employer cuts your pay and calls it economic adjustment. And you can't even argue because the math checks out. You're making less numbers, but supposedly the same value, except you've got bills. And those bills don't care about purchasing power theory. Your landlord doesn't accept adjusted real value calculations. He wants dollars, the same number of dollars, and now you don't have that number. But it gets worse, so much worse, because I have debt. Credit cards from that time, I had a medical emergency called My Transmission Died. Car loan because I needed to get to work, and the bus system in my city is a joke. Maybe a mortgage if I was foolish enough to believe the American dream wasn't dead. And here's the thing about debt on the gold standard. It gets bigger. Not because I borrowed more. Not because of interest, because deflation makes the money I owe more valuable. Let me paint you a picture. A horror picture, a financial nightmare. I borrowed $20,000 today to buy a car. A reasonable car, a Honda Accord, something that will get me to work without breaking down every third Thursday. On paper, I owe $20,000. But next year, because of deflation, because dollars are becoming more valuable, those $20,000 are worth $25,000 in purchasing power. The real value of what I owe has increased by $5,000. And I didn't buy anything. The debt just grew. The year after that, those dollars are worth $30,000, then $35,000, then $40,000. I'm paying off a loan that expands, even though I'm making payments, even though I'm doing everything right. It's like running on a treadmill that speeds up every time you get tired. You're not moving forward. You're just suffering in place. You're just getting more exhausted while staying in the same spot. And multiply that by every American with a mortgage, with student loans, with car payments, with credit card debt, because medical bills, or because their kid needed braces, or because their roof started leaking. And roofers don't accept IOUs. Suddenly, everyone is drowning in debt that's becoming more expensive just by existing. People default. People declare bankruptcy. People lose their homes, their cars, their minds. Banks collapse because nobody can pay back their loans. And the banks themselves have debts that are growing. And the whole system implodes like a dying star. This isn't theory. This isn't speculation. This is what happened in the Great Depression. People couldn't pay their debts because deflation made those debts impossible to service. And the entire financial system collapsed. And if you're a business owner, if you had the audacity to dream of being an entrepreneur, forget it. Pack it up. Go home. Cry into your pillow. Imagine you run a coffee shop. A nice little coffee shop. You make good coffee. People like you. You're living the dream. The small dream, but still a dream. You decide to expand, add more tables, hire more people, buy a fancy espresso machine that makes the foam look like a swan and costs as much as a used car. So you take out a loan, $50,000, reasonable, manageable. You've done the math. You've got the projections. This is going to work. But then deflation hits, and suddenly everything changes. Your costs are falling, sure. Milk is cheaper, coffee beans are cheaper, rent drops a bit. That sounds good. But your revenue is falling faster. Because people have less money, their wages are being cut. Their dollars are worth more, but they have fewer of them. And when people have less money, they don't buy $7 lattes. They make coffee at home. They buy the cheap stuff at the grocery store. They give up the little luxuries. Your customer base shrinks, your income drops. You're making 30% less than you were 6 months ago. Meanwhile, that $50,000 loan, it's getting more expensive in real terms. The real value of what you owe is growing. You owe more than you borrowed effectively. It's like you took out a loan and someone came back and said, actually, funny story, we're adding 20 grand to your balance, surprise. So you're making less money and owing more money at the same time. You can't make your loan payments. You default. The bank takes your coffee shop. You're standing outside on the sidewalk watching some corporate chain move in, watching them put up their sign where your sign used to be, and you're thinking, I should have just invested in gold. But wait, you can't invest in gold. You can't even own gold because the government owns all the gold. That's how the gold standard works. In 1933, FDR signed Executive Order 6102. Look it up. It's real. The government made it illegal for Americans to own gold. They confiscated it. They forced everyone to sell their gold to the government at a fixed price. And if you didn't comply, you could be fined $10,000, which in 1933 was sell your children money or imprisoned for 10 years. So you can't even hedge your bets. You can't protect yourself. You're just broke and betrayed and probably drinking bathtub moonshine because you can't afford real whiskey anymore. And Prohibition already taught you how to make alcohol in questionable containers. Here's the part where I get serious for a minute. I know it hurts me too. I don't like being serious. Serious is depressing, but we need to talk about history because apparently nobody reads books anymore. We left the gold standard for a reason, actually multiple reasons. All of them involve mass suffering, an economic catastrophe, and people dying. During the Great Depression, economists did something amazing. They accidentally ran a global experiment. Some countries stayed on the gold standard, some countries abandoned it, and we got to see who did better. Spoiler alert, the countries that left the gold standard recovered faster, way faster, like not even close, faster. Britain left the gold standard in 1931. Their economy started recovering in 1932. The United States stayed on until 1933. We were the last major country to leave. And our recovery didn't really start until we finally abandoned it. Why? Because when you're off the gold standard, you can respond to a crisis, you can print money, you can inject cash into the economy, you can lower interest rates, you can do something. Instead of just watching people starve because, well, we don't have enough gold, so I guess everyone dies now. Thoughts and prayers. The gold standard is rigid, it's inflexible, it's like trying to perform surgery with oven mitts on. Sure, you're being careful, sure, you're following the rules, but you're also probably killing the patient. Countries that stayed on gold longer suffered more. Their unemployment stayed higher. Their economies stayed smaller. Their people stayed hungrier. This isn't opinion, this is data. This is history. This is what happened. The COVID example, the modern proof. Let's bring this to the present. When COVID hit in 2020, the government printed trillions of dollars. Trillions, with a T. The money printer went brrr so hard it probably caught fire. Was it perfect? Hell no. Did it cause inflation? Yes, absolutely, 100%. We're still dealing with that inflation. Eggs are $7. Gas is a mortgage payment. A bag of chips costs more than my self-esteem. But did it also prevent a total economic collapse? Did it keep people in their homes? Did it keep businesses from failing by the millions? Did it prevent mass starvation? Also, yes. On the gold standard, they couldn't have done that. They would have been stuck. They would have had to watch the economy collapse in real time and just shrug. Sorry, we're out of gold. We can't help. Good luck with the plague, everyone. Try not to die, I guess. The unemployment rate would have hit 50%, maybe 60%. We would have had soup lines, bread lines, tent cities in every major park. We would have recreated the Great Depression, but with better cameras to document the suffering. So yeah, I'll take the inflation. I'll complain about the inflation. I'll complain loudly, but I'll take it over the alternative. But Bill, what about inflation? Isn't printing money bad? Doesn't it destroy savings? Doesn't it hurt fixed income retirees? Doesn't it make everything more expensive? Yes, all of that is true. Inflation sucks. I'm not defending inflation. I'm not pro-inflation. I'm not wearing an I love inflation t-shirt. But here's the thing. Inflation is manageable. It's a problem we can control. We have tools. Interest rates. The Federal Reserve can raise rates to cool down the economy. They can make borrowing more expensive, which slows spending, which reduces demand, which brings prices down. Federal Reserve policy. They can adjust the money supply. They can buy or sell bonds. They can signal to markets what they're planning to do. Fiscal policy. The government can tax more or spend less to cool things down. It's not perfect. It's not pretty. It's not fun, but it's controllable. We can turn the knobs. We can adjust the dials. We can respond. Deflation, on the other hand, is an economic death spiral. Once it starts, it feeds on itself. Like a zombie virus or an MLM scheme. Prices fall. People see prices falling. They wait to buy things because prices will fall more tomorrow. Businesses make less money because people aren't buying. They fire people. Those people have less money. They buy even less. Prices fall further. More businesses fail. More people get fired. More deflation. More death. And you can't stop it. You can't break the cycle because on the gold standard, you can't just print money to inject demand back into the economy. You're stuck. You're trapped. You just have to wait and hope it eventually stops. The Great Depression wasn't caused by inflation running wild. It was caused by deflation. Prices fell by 30% between 1929 and 1933. 30%. Wages fell even more. And it nearly destroyed the country. So yeah, I'll take my 3% inflation and complain about egg prices and gas prices and how a movie ticket cost more than my first car. Because the alternative is literally 1930s America. And I've seen the photos. Those breadlines didn't look fun. Those Hoovervilles, tent cities named after the president, who did nothing, didn't look comfortable. What to do instead of fantasizing about gold? Okay, deep breath. We've established that the gold standard is a terrible idea. We've established that it's been tried, and it failed, and it caused mass suffering. We're not doing it. It's not happening, even if Trump or whoever says they want to do it. It's not actually happening because Congress would never pass it and the Federal Reserve would quit en masse, and every economist would be screaming from the rooftops. But what do we do about the fact that our money feels fake? That inflation is eating our paychecks? Like a hungry hippo eating marbles? That the government keeps printing cash like they're Kinkos, but for legal tender? Here's my extended guide for surviving fiat currency without losing your mind. Step 1. Understand that inflation is not theft. It's just expensive. Inflation feels personal. It feels like someone's reaching into your wallet and taking money out while you sleep. It feels like robbery. But it's not. It's a side effect of a growing economy with a flexible money supply. Sometimes it gets out of control. That's bad. That's a problem. But the alternative is deflation, an economic death and 1930s-style suffering. Think of it this way. Inflation is like your car using gas. Yeah, it sucks that you have to keep filling the tank. Yeah, it's expensive. But the alternative is your car doesn't run and you can't get anywhere. Would you rather pay for gas or would you rather walk? Because those are your options. Step 2. Invest in real assets, not just shiny rocks. Your money in a savings account loses value over time because of inflation. That's just reality. If you have $10,000 sitting in a bank account earning 0.5% interest and inflation is running at 3%, you're losing purchasing power every year. So don't just hold cash. Invest in things that grow with inflation or faster than inflation. Stocks. Companies raise prices when inflation happens. Their revenues go up. Your stocks go uppy. You're protected. Real estate. Property values tend to rise with inflation. Your house becomes more valuable. Plus, if you have a mortgage, you're paying it back with cheaper dollars over time. You win. Skills and education. Invest in yourself. Learn things that make you more valuable to employers. Get certifications. Learn to code or weld or negotiate or whatever is in demand. Your earning power is your best inflation hedge. Businesses. Start a side hustle. Build something. Create income streams. When you own a business, you can raise prices. You're not stuck with a fixed salary that doesn't keep up with inflation. And yes, okay, maybe some gold or silver as a small part of your portfolio, like 5%. As insurance, as a just-in-case-the-world-ends hedge, but not your entire portfolio, not your whole strategy. Step 3, stop listening to people who sell fear. They're selling you something. If someone's trying to convince you the economy is collapsing and the dollar is becoming worthless, and you need to buy their gold coins or survival seeds or freeze-dried meal kits or crypto or whatever, ask yourself, what are they selling? Because they're always selling something. Fear is a marketing strategy. It works. It works really well. Scared people buy things. The dollar is collapsing. Buy gold. Who profits when you buy gold? The person selling you gold. Banks are failing. Buy crypto. Who profits? The person holding crypto who needs you to buy in so the price goes up. The government is lying. Buy my newsletter/course/seminar. Who profits? The person selling you the newsletter. I'm not saying there are no problems with the economy. There are. Inflation is real. The debt is big. There are legitimate concerns. But if someone's using those concerns to sell you their product, be skeptical. Do your own research. Read actual economists, not YouTube conspiracy theorists. Check their credentials. See if they have conflicts of interest. Think critically. Step 4. Vote for people who understand economics, not just people who sound confident. This is important. This is democracy. This is your responsibility. When politicians talk about economic policy, ask yourself, do they understand what they're talking about? Or are they just saying things that sound good? We're going back to the gold standard. Sounds powerful. It sounds like taking control, but it's ignorant of history and economics. We're going to cut taxes and increase spending and balance the budget. Sounds great, but the math doesn't work. You can't do all three. Look for politicians who acknowledge trade-offs. There are no free lunches in economics. Show they understand history, what worked, what failed, why. Consult actual experts, economists, not just their gut feelings, can explain their policies in detail, not just slogans. And if a politician says something economically insane, like returning to the gold standard, ask them if they've read a history book or an economics textbook or anything published after 1940. Step 5, budget like deflation is not coming to save you because it's not. Here's the hard truth. Your money is not going to magically become more valuable. Prices are not going to fall. The good old days of cheap everything are not coming back. So plan accordingly. Save more than you think you need. Inflation's going to eat some of it. You need a buffer. Invest consistently, even small amounts. Compound growth beats inflation over time. Increase your income. Ask for raises. Switch jobs if you need to. Negotiate. Don't just accept stagnant wages while everything else gets more expensive. Cut costs where you can. Not the latte. Stop with the latte thing. I'm so tired of the latte thing. Cut the big stuff. The car you can't afford. The house that's too big. The subscriptions you don't use. Build multiple income streams. Don't rely on one paycheck from one job. That's risky. Side hustles, freelance work, passive income. Diversify your income like you diversify your investments. Step 6. Accept that the economy is complicated, and that's okay. You don't need to be an expert. You don't need a PhD in economics. But you do need to accept that simple answers to complex problems are usually wrong. Just go back to gold. Wrong. Tried it. Failed. Next. Just stop printing money. Wrong. We need monetary flexibility. Next. Just let the free market solve everything. Wrong. Markets fail. Externalities exist. Public goods are real. Next. The economy is a massive interconnected system with millions of variables and billions of people making trillions of decisions. There are no easy fixes. Anyone who tells you there's one simple trick is either lying or ignorant. Learn the basics. Understand supply and demand. Understand inflation and deflation. Understand why central banks exist and what they do. You don't need to understand everything, but understand enough to not fall for economic snake oil. Closing the final YAP, 1900 to 2130. Look, I get the appeal of the gold standard. I really do. I understand why it's attractive. I understand why people want it. It sounds responsible. It sounds like we're putting guardrails on a runaway train. It sounds like we're going back to real money with real value instead of this fiat currency nonsense, where we just agree dollars have value because we all collectively decide they do. It's comforting to think there's something physical backing our money, something you can hold, something concrete. Gold is real. You can touch it. You can see it. It's been valuable for thousands of years. And I get the fear behind it too, the fear that the government has too much power, that they can just print money whenever they want, that our savings are becoming worthless, that we're heading towards some hyperinflation nightmare where we'll be using wheelbarrows full of cash to buy bread like Weimar Germany. I understand that fear. That fear is not crazy. That fear is rational given what we've seen. But here's the thing. The gold standard isn't a solution. It's nostalgia. It's people looking at the past through rose-colored glasses and forgetting that the past sucked for most people. The 1920s and early 1930s weren't great. They were terrible. 25% unemployment. People starving, families losing everything. And that was with the gold standard. That was the gold standard's fault. We didn't leave the gold standard because we got greedy or reckless. We left it because it was killing us, because it turned economic recessions into economic catastrophes, because it made recovery impossible. The modern monetary system, with fiat currency and central banks and all its flaws, it's not perfect. I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm not even saying it's good all the time, but it's flexible. It can respond to crises. It can prevent the kind of deflationary death spirals that destroyed economies in the past. It's the difference between a bumpy ride and driving off a cliff. So the next time someone tells you we should go back to the gold standard, ask them this. Cool, you first, you go live on a 1929 salary with 1929 economic policies, with 1929 style bank failures and deflation and mass unemployment. You try to pay off a mortgage when your wages are getting cut every year and the real value of your debt is growing. You try to run a business when customers have no money and your loans are eating you alive. You try to survive without the monetary flexibility that prevented total collapse during COVID. Let me know how it goes. I'll wait. And when they inevitably say no, when they inevitably backtrack and say, well, I didn't mean exactly like 1929, you'll know exactly why the gold standard is never coming back. Because math, because history, because reality, because we tried it and it nearly destroyed us and we're not that stupid. Well, most of us aren't. I checked my bank account this morning. Still zero. Still aggressively zero. Still the kind of zero that makes you question your life choices and wonder if you should have majored in something practical instead of pursuing your dreams. But at least it's zero in a flexible currency that can respond to economic shocks. At least it's zero in a system that won't make my hypothetical future debt more expensive just by the passage of time. At least it's zero in an economy that has tools to prevent total collapse. Silver linings, people. Silver linings, not gold linings, because gold linings would ruin everything. This is Mr. Bill, signing off, reminding you that your money might be fake, but your bills are very real. Your debt is very real. Your struggle is very real. Stay broke. Stay smart. Stay off the gold standard, and for the love of God, for the love of everything holy, read a history book before you support economic policies that already failed. Peace out. I'm going to go cry into my overpriced cereal now.